Alright, so, yep, just got done work as usual. And I realized that I forgot to record yesterday's reflection. So, we're going to go over yesterday's and a little bit of today's. It's going to be a double-length full episode. So, yesterday we talked about mainly about assessment and evaluation and how important this is to the whole process of teaching. Before, I would be kind of like stigmatized. I'd be like, man, not stigmatized, but like had a certain idea about evaluation and the marking process, and I thought like, oh man, grades are awful. But there's kind of a certain narrative there that like they have to be there, but also we're changing the idea of what evaluation should look like. So for example, it should be more towards the two things were formative and summative. So formative being like the evaluation that you use to help inform your students along the way about the process, and summative is kind of what happens at the end, after they've gone through the experience and kind of see what they do know and where they are. So it's interesting that evaluation is more about, well, I mean, we're trying to change it, it seems, to be more about getting students on that journey and on the path towards the goal, and wherever they end up is wherever they end up. Getting everyone to a certain level, right? It's not so much about the grades. And we learned so many interesting things about assessment, and I think it is really a keystone of how you kind of conduct a lot of classes. Because the one thing that he would always point out is that you plan with an end in mind. So you kind of have the beginning, the end, and then the journey in between is kind of what you're supposed to work on. So that's actually a really good starting point. So we kind of worked with learning goals and then kind of see how you can accomplish those. It kind of makes a roadmap. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't think about that before. Rubrics. Rubrics are rubrics. That's kind of something that I think has been talked about quite a bit. Yeah, there's a couple of pretty interesting methods here that were shown, like showing the final product and then coming up with a rubric. Either use it for standard or having people look at it. It's pretty interesting. A lot of things come up with that too. Is that when you show students a certain, I guess, piece or the assignment, a final version, you kind of wonder, like, what do they think about it? If they even have any opinions. And I think it definitely works for like maybe older students, but who knows? Yeah, it's interesting, an interesting idea. Okay, so yeah, yesterday was mainly focused on that. Let's go to today's, the Tuesday actually. So what did we work on? We kind of worked a little, I was kind of continuing off yesterday with evaluation, kind of wrapping that up a little bit. I think we had a reading. Yeah, we did. So we did a reading, 2 readings, and then kind of worked and talked about those and how we thought about how those talked about evaluation. The hard edge, soft edge piece, honestly, was a bit harder for me to kind of grasp than the Damien one, with the whole using cycling as a sort of metaphor for evaluation. Using the Tour de France, which is kind of like what grades used to be, very, very competitive. Only one can kind of win. Versus like a biking tour, right? So everyone's going to the same place, but they will reach it differently, different ways. Some faster, some slower, some through different kind of ways. And our job is to kind of maybe hopefully guide them through all these ways and show them different ways. Students, I mean. And then the second part was talking about inclusive education. A lot of really good discussion there. Yeah, we watched, I believe, 2 videos. One was about inclusive education. The other one was about universal designs. And a lot of them kind of talk about like these barriers that we try to be aware of and work with, work around or through, whatever. You work to accommodate the barriers and understand that these are things that can happen for some students. And that there's many different needs. So yeah, a lot of really good points in those videos. They were really fast, but they were chock full of information in a really short amount of time. So yeah, they were pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty action-packed. Started a bit later today. As for how I'm feeling, I haven't slept well in several days, over a week. So very tired. But I don't know, maybe we can try sleeping a bit earlier. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. Still a lot of things I want to do. It's about 8 o'clock almost. Still got a couple things to do. Got to do the readings, but luckily there's a bit more time tomorrow to work on that. So yep, we'll see how it goes, and that's it for today. Peace.